He died like right across the road from where I live.
2 people actually got murdered so close to where I go to school.
Growing numbers of young people are carrying knives.
It literally happened at 2 minutes from my house.
It's like I've been desensitized to the whole thing.
And some even take knives to school, thinking it will make them safer.
Little kids that are probably age 7 carry knives now.
The consequences can be devastating, as I know only too well.
My childhood completely went when that happened.
My own brother was stabbed to death when I was 11 in a feud that I think could have been stopped without violence.
I don't think I'll ever truly know why my brother was taken away so horrifically.
Now the government says it has plans to make schools safer. I've spent the last couple of months in East London finding out what impact knives are having on childhood and life in the classroom.
Me and my friends, we don't think about it. We just pick up a knife, put it in our bags and go.
It's terrifying and scary.
This is East London. Here at this youth club, children are being taught what to do if they see a stabbing.
This is the blade or the knife he got stabbed with. So, would we take it out?
No.
Why?
You will then start to bleed out. And it's like a plug. You see like a plug in the bathtub. Once you take it out, it starts going down. So you shouldn't take it out, obviously.
So let's say that I put it like this. Just a little bit of blood is coming out right now. But then, if we take it out, a lot of blood comes out. So that's why you just leave it in no matter what.
In the last year, more than 800 sessions like these have been run in cities across the country.
Okay, so if I've been hurt and I still have a sharp object in me,
I would call the ambulance. And then I would apply pressure. So where do I apply pressure? On top of the wound? Or around the wound?
Knife crime is at record levels, with over 47,000 offences recorded across England and Wales in the last year. London has the highest number of crimes. Children like these are increasingly getting caught up in the violence.
So you never stop applying pressure. That's like very, very important. Because if you do, blood will be lost.
Injuries caused by sharp objects are rising twice as fast among 10 to 19-year-olds than in any other age group.
If you have like a hole like this and you're kind of pushing it together...
These kids are 12 to 15. I'm finding this hard to watch.
You don't know what's going to happen. It could happen any day, any time, anywhere.
Even though they are bleeding, we need to make sure that we regulate their body temperature.
Those kids in there, the fact that they are 12, 13, 14-year-olds they're young. They're at an age where they shouldn't have to think about death or of knowing what stabbings are. They shouldn't need to know that.
But this is the sad reality today for many young people, as I know only too well. My brother Daniel was stabbed and killed near his home in Nottingham. Daniel didn't carry a knife, but because someone else did, he's not with us anymore. And that hurts just as much as it did that night. Knife crime has cast a shadow over my life ever since. I want to understand why so many young people carry knives. Kyan, from the first aid session, is just 12.
Are you coming upstairs?
And like me, he's already experienced the fallout of violent crime on his doorstep.
There was a shooting like around the back where the gardens are, and there was a stabbing at the corner shop about 3 weeks ago. It's terrifying and scary because I didn't know people were that cruel to be doing that. It happened like near a house, so I'm like, it could happen to anyone, like someone I know.
Wait. He's scared to go out because he feels, something can happen to him. And I'm saying to him, don't think like that, but it's a reality. You know, the kids are getting younger, they're doing things at younger ages, so it's not nice that they have to see these kind of things and live in it.
I don't go out unless it's like with my family. When I was younger, I used to play football with my neighbours. I like going out and not spending my time trapped inside.
But Kyan and his 2 younger brothers do feel trapped inside. His parents, Jermaine and Gina, grew up in this part of Hackney.
It's not like how it was when we was younger. We could come outside anytime we wanted, play, ride around.
For the kids to see something like that so close to them, you kind of try and shelter them from things like that. But when it's right there on your doorstep, you can't get away from it. They're limited already to where they can go and how far they can go, but now it's even more like you want to keep them at home.
It diminishes their childhood. They don't get the same freedoms of just being a kid, being able to just go out and have fun, knowing that they're safe.
Daniel's death had a massive impact on my childhood. Looking back, I now realise how important it is to listen to what the young people affected by knife crime are thinking and feeling, kids right across the country. In my time in East London, I've spoken to dozens of kids whose lives have been affected by knives.
Like when I was little, like I always thought it's like adults and that, you know, teenagers that are, but it's actually not. There's people in primary school that are carrying knives. The age that people are getting exposed to this type of life is just getting younger and younger.
Little kids that are probably age 7 carry knives now.
It's become a norm to carry one.
Sadly, it's something that has become quite ingrained in our lives now. It's something that I think we accept.
Children as young as 4 have been found with knives in schools, according to new police figures. And it's estimated that over 17,000 children between the ages of 10 and 15 have carried a knife in the last year. To help me try and understand why, I'm meeting Joseph. He was just 14 when he first carried a knife.
It's just how we grew up and how we live. So to us, we don't feel like we're doing anything wrong. Like we just feel like it's how it is. People just have it on them to have it on them just in case. It's like people have water just in case they will get thirsty.
Joseph isn't his real name. He's agreed to speak to me on the condition that he won't be identified, fearing that his life will be endangered.
Me and my friends, we don't think about it. We just pick up a knife, put it in a bag and just go. Like, there's no second thought.
Do you just go in the kitchen and get one?
It won't be like a kitchen knife. It'll be like a little small flicky or, yeah, my friends, like, they carry like a big one, but...
What's a flicky?
It's like a little one you could just flick up and just...
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's about it. It's easier to hide. I don't carry with the intention of, oh, I'm going to stab someone. Like, I carry with the intention to protect myself. Like, if someone's trying to attack me, yeah, like, I'm going to have to, like, protect myself.
It may be fear that drives young people to carry knives, but as I know from my own experience, knives, knife crime, can destroy families.
It's the consequences of the actions of the people that are carrying the knives that just unfortunately go onto the family.
Yeah, but obviously their family will be hurt, but then again, if something did happen to me and my family would be hurt. So yeah, you don't think like that. Death is like nothing, to be honest. It's normalized. So families getting hurt in that, it's not something people think about.
It breaks my heart to hear Joseph talking like this.
It feels like there's no route out, like it's a lifestyle that a lot of young people feel like they have to lead in order to survive it, and it's sad. It's even sad to know that people are just normalised by this sort of lifestyle.
So what happens when these children go to school? Panorama asked one of the UK's largest teaching unions, the NASUWT, to reach out to their 300,000 members and share their experiences of knives in schools. Over 1,200 responded from mainly urban areas, and 728 of them said that knives had been found on children in their school in the last year. Leighton Sixth Form College teaches 2,500 16 to 18-year-olds from across North and East London. In the past, kids here have been intimidated and threatened with violence right at the college gate. And earlier this year, the area made national headlines when a 14-year-old boy was knocked off a moped and stabbed to death. At least 2 other teenagers have been stabbed nearby in the last 3 months.
What could be like me? This could be like help me? Yeah, it could be help me. Good. Really nice, guys. Okay, excellent. Right, I want to also now go...
Many of the students here have first-hand experience of knife crime.
So what about...
This class is producing a short film about youth violence and girl gangs.
More people to then hold you back.
The content is inspired by some of their own experiences.
So let's start from the beginning of that scene. So the camera...
Ryan is in her final year. I can see just how much this means to her.
And then we have... Boom! Right, stop.
Just 6 weeks ago, one of her closest friends was stabbed and killed.
Pull back. She comes in, and that is the moment when we have the stab, okay? Which comes from this...
Watching this is difficult. I know how much grief can affect you, and I can't help but think how these girls must be feeling. For Ryan, the drama is just too close to real life.
When we was doing the stabbing scene in slow motion, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, my friend is about to get buried. It's real life.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't seem to realise is actually real life. As in, he was 18, he's supposed to be turning 19 next month. So he didn't get to go uni. He was in his last year of college. There's people 14, 16, 18 that are passing away. I just want people to wake up, to be honest.
Oh, you're so strong. It's unreal.
Of the teachers from the NASUWT that contacted us, 565 said that they think knife crime is having a damaging effect on the educational performance of their students. 768 said they believed that it was damaging young people's mental health. The college does what it can to support young people dealing with the effects of knife crime. Counselling is available, and they also teach about personal safety, how to avoid crime, and react to any high-profile incidents of violence. They've even held self-defence classes to help their students feel safer.
For security and myself to announce...
Vice Principal Chris Price is responsible for safety here, and to keep knives out of the classroom, he does something I've never experienced in my school years.
I think it's very successful.
With his security team, he carries out routine random classroom searches. They use a knife wand, a portable device which can detect metal objects hidden in bags or clothing.
I'm thinking about how the students are going to be feeling. If someone came into my class and was like, we're going to search your bags, I'd be like, am I a criminal?
What we're going to ask you to do now is, if you could, take your possessions out your pockets and also get your bags on your desks and be prepared to empty those out.
I feel really uncomfortable for them.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know why. I think it's because I've never experienced anything like it in a school or educational environment.
Word gets out, oh, we were searched today, you know, and so I think anybody that would be foolish enough to bring anything with them which wasn't appropriate would think twice about it.
Absolutely, yeah. That is very different to what I was used to in school, and I was quite conflicted with it. I was just standing there feeling like uncomfortable for them, yet they were giggling and laughing and just easygoing about it.
We never have an issue, do we? No. A sulky face is about as much as you get in the way of non-compliance, but I've never had anybody that's actually said, no, I'm not going to go.
Just under half of all schools and colleges in London are now using knife wands. and London's mayor wants more to do so. The teachers from the NASUWT who got in touch came from across the country. 511 said that security had been stepped up at their schools and colleges in the last 12 months, and 289 said that they conduct some kind of search. Some of this seems extreme, but after the searches, Chris wants to show me a video which goes some way to explaining why so many schools and colleges think searches like this are necessary.
Hey, Flash, if you don't come here, I swear to God, even I'll push you, bro.
These young people in their blazers at their school, with
a kitchen knife.
A kitchen knife and a screwdriver.
Eat his blood. You can see it from the bottom of our heart, yeah, you dickhead. Dickhead, fam. Mothers, we're ready, bro.
And they're speaking like that and they have no fear. Yet I don't even think they know what fear is yet. The video features boys who are pupils at a school not far from here. Videos like this are often uploaded by the young people who film them to social media, and it doesn't take long to do a search to find more like it. Some with young people bragging about violence, filmed to share and glorify what they're doing. In others, school children can clearly be seen engaging in extreme violence.
99% of the young people that come to us are decent and thoughtful, caring individuals, but you always have to protect against the idea that there might be one or two people who have a different sort of agenda.
Security measures like the ones used at Leighton College are expensive. Here they are spending nearly £200,000 a year on security. Managed by a private company, they have between 6 to 8 officers on duty at any time. Under health and safety law, schools and colleges are responsible for keeping their students safe. Now, after years of cuts, the government is promising more money for education, but there won't be any separate allocation for security. It will still have to be paid for out of overall budgets.
Spending money on security is a real cost to the college. Some colleges who haven't been able to meet their targets, have had to make compulsory redundancies, and so it's not a happy position that we find ourselves in.
Today, the principal and vice principals are meeting to assess the measures they've got in place.
So I've spoken to Neil, so Chris, I wonder if you could follow up with Neil and Mick just about developing a dynamic lockdown procedure. Nicola has ordered the catastrophic bleed kit, so we'll have one.
They were hoping to get support from the police, with a dedicated officer in college to improve safety and deal with any crimes involving students.
We were guaranteed to have somebody with us this year that wasn't going to spend a great deal of time elsewhere.
Even the schools where they've got an even, much greater need to have a safer schools officer are struggling. And it's not the police's fault. I mean, if you've got a 20% reduction in your budget, then it's... So I just think we perhaps, when we're developing our policies further, can't rely on...
No. I still think we should still keep asking for a certain level of support.
Yeah.
The government says it's considering introducing new security guidance for schools and colleges. Head teachers will have to look more closely at what measures they have in place. Measures like the ones being used here may have to be adopted in all schools and colleges across the country. Outside of school hours and beyond the school gates, the risk for some young people of getting involved with knives is high, and one of the biggest challenges comes from gangs. In the 3 years leading up to 2018, it's estimated that as many as 28,000 children in England and Wales have become gang members. They can often get involved with drugs and can be exposed to physical violence.
Do I need to search you? What will I find? Nothing. You sure?
This specialist school takes children from across London and the home counties. Many have been excluded from mainstream education. Some have been involved in gangs and violent crime. To protect the pupils here from further risk of violence, we are concealing theirs and the school's identity. 14-year-old Danny was permanently excluded from a mainstream school, but is being supported here to try and help him move away from a life where serious violence was very real.
Before I came here, I was involved in a lot of stuff. Like, it was when I was very young as well, like just like year 7, year 8, and I just got around like the bad people, like the wrong crowd. Then I started doing stuff that I shouldn't have been doing at that age. That's what people like to call like loyalty and stuff like that.
So would you say that doing that was putting you in some sort of
danger?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always going to be someone that doesn't like you or you don't like them. And 9 times out of 10, they're always going to have something on them. So there's always that thought of, oh, imagine if I see that person and I don't have my knife on me and they do, what's going to happen?
There are some issues out in the local community, and when they come here, they need to know that those issues are left behind. This is a place for people to feel safe.
Every pupil is searched when they come into school.
Sometimes with the wands we have found knives on students. You know, and the really sad thing about it is when you talk to them about it, they feel they need to carry them for protection. There's a feeling that if you don't have a knife, then, you know, you're facing being stabbed yourself and potentially killed.
A lot of what I'm hearing echoes what I've heard elsewhere. Young people carrying knives because they think that it will keep them safe. Schoolboy Danny was drawn into a life of selling drugs.
You see the older generation, yeah, they influence it. They make things look like luxury to you if you do that stuff. Like, yeah, get involved in art, gangs and that, it will be a blast, like so much money, bare girls, you know what I'm saying? Like, drugs, yeah, smoke weed, like all day, like. It's not just that they hide the bad stuff. Like, they groom you to do all these things, but when you're actually doing it, you're like, hell, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Like, you'll be missing your margin. That'll mean you're out in Manchester, bagging up crack, and you're like, why am I here? I should be playing games with my mom. That's what people don't realize. They don't think about what's gonna happen after. They only think about the good stuff.
And then when did the moment come where you wanted to get out?
The moment came when I got arrested for it, so
the experience of being arrested, did it just kind of bring it home?
Yeah.
How old was you then?
I was 13.
I think it's very easy to sort of demonise these young people and, you know, sort of look at these gang members, but the reasons behind it are just so complex. You know, a lot of these children, because that's what they are actually victims and have been exploited. At times, these boundaries and structures and the family support that most people take for granted are missing. The support services which were there to work with them have disappeared. They may have failed in school and been kicked out, and then they get coerced or encouraged to get involved in knife crime.
To help the children here, the school gives one-to-one support through mentorship, and although they have a much higher staffing ratio and more resources than a mainstream school, I can see that building relationships and giving them positive role models is key to keeping them in the classroom and away from the dangers outside. They are acutely aware of the risks that a permanent exclusion and being on the streets can bring.
We do whatever we can to make sure that we keep the young people in school, and that can be a battle, trust me. I think the consequences of being permanently excluded from school can be devastating. Young people who are permanently excluded from schools are more likely to become members of gangs. They're more likely to become victims.
Children who are excluded from school are twice as likely to carry weapons like knives, and children that carry knives are more likely to become victims. Schools are increasingly a safe haven for children caught up in this life. Are you glad that you came here?
Yeah, it's made me mature a lot. In here, like, they all care. They all try to help you, like, get away from all that stuff, like.
Where do you think you'd be if you weren't in school?
I would probably get involved with that stuff I was before, but I'm not trying to go back to there.
I hope you don't.
Me too. I don't want to go back there.
I'm so relieved Danny's getting the support he needs here. It seems that school has actually been his salvation. But of course, kids can't be in school all day.
Our fundamental ethos is about keeping them safe, but, you know, we have the young people for 6 hours a day, and the streets and the areas have them for 18.
For the young people I've met, stepping out of the safety of the school gates presents real danger.
You don't know what's going to happen to you when you step out.
Does it get quite tiring thinking that way?
Sometimes you just want to just walk out your house and feel free. Just want to feel free, like go certain places without having that thought in your head that, oh, this could happen, this could happen.
You're hearing about all the knife crime around, but you don't know where it's going to be. So like, and you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
7 weeks after her best friend was stabbed and killed, Ryan is trying to come to terms with her grief.
It just really broke me. What really topped it off was the fact that when the police left the scene, they left the blood there. It was his family and his friends that had to clean the blood off the floor. I can't get my head wrapped around it because it's not nice losing someone to knife crime. It's just sad, to be honest. Sorry. Sorry. It's become really normal to the point that whenever they hear another stabbing, they don't actually talk about it. They just say, this person's been stabbed to death, end of, next. That this is another stabbing, end of, next.
It's terrifying listening to Ryan and the others I've met talking about knives. For increasing numbers of young people, children, knife crime has become normal, expected. Knives are changing childhood and changing schools. Today, teachers aren't just responsible for making sure their students get through exams, they have to teach them how to stay safe, away from violence and away from knives.